Good morning, everyone. This is Dorcas Chandler at dorcasgazelle.com. And I hope you're having a wonderful day all around the world. I am so glad to be back once again. And the topic that I'm speaking on is very dear to my heart. And I believe that what I've went through and shared on today will be a blessing for you. I want to talk about something that just really happened in my life, and I'm going to use a topic: a wrong decision based on fear. A wrong decision based on fear. We all know, or most of us know, that every decision that we make, it has consequences. I'll say it again. Every decision that we make, every choice, it has consequences. And one wrong decision can change your life, my life, for a lifetime. And that's why I want to share this, because something just came to my attention in my life, and I really understand myself a little better now than I did before the incident happened. As I told you all the last time that I've spoken, not the Father's Day video, but the one before that, about how that I have a new doctor. And I want to talk about what happened. I went to the doctor and I had this exam, and he was telling me to do some different things when he was examining me. And when he examined me and was telling me to bend forward, then bend back, and then bend to the right, then bend back, and then bend to the left. And when he told me to bend to the left, my whole body started shaking. And when he told me, okay, bend backwards, and I bent backwards. And so as he completed the examination, he told me, I asked him, can I sit down? And so when we began to talk about the examination and what took place when he was doing his testing, was he said, when you turn to your left side, your whole body started shaking. And at that moment, I didn't have any correlation. I didn't have any connection. All I know is that my left side has been a problem for me for 20 years. I have had pain on my left side, but I did not know why. And so this is what I want to share with you, because when I came home and I was wondering, well, why was my body shaking so much when I bent to the left? And my mind went back to the car accident. And this is what came in my spirit was, Dorcas, you're not telling the story right. And I was like, huh? You're telling people that the reason why you're on a walker is because a car came through your school. Is that really why you're on a walker? And I began to question myself. I said, yeah, the car came through my school. I don't practice lying. The car came through my school. And then as I begin to walk backwards to try to bring some clarity to why I would think that that's not the right thing that I've been saying, I just started asking myself questions. When the car came through the wall at your school, did the car hit you? And I said, no. Did the car touch you? And I said, no. Did the car touch the desk that you were sitting? And I said, no. And then it was, well then, how can you keep saying that the reason why your back is hurting and you're on a walker is because a car came through the school if the car never touched you? Did the car touch you? The car did not touch me. I'm going somewhere. Just give me a minute. And so I also would tell people that the credenza, the copy machine, the coffee machine, books, file cabinets, everything was flying. And some of the things was flying over my head and I was ducking and dodging. I've said that too. And then it came to me, did any of those things that was flying over your head, did any of those things touch you? No. None of those things touch you. No. So the car came through the wall. The car didn't touch you. And the things that were being thrown around because the car came through the wall, none of those things touched you. So then how can you say what you're saying? And I stopped. And I said, I don't know. And it was like, I was sitting there and I've been having this question in my mind and I couldn't remember some of the things that had happened. But then as I examined the situation, it was like, what did you do after all that stuff was going on in your office? And I said to myself, I got up. And then what? I walked to the back of the computer lab. And then what? I stood there. And then I said, I got to get out of here. The door jamb was, it was smashed. I couldn't get out. You couldn't get out. So then what? I looked down and I saw a hole. Bear with me. I saw a hole and I said, I got to get out of here. And when I looked down at the hole, in my mind, I said, Dorcas, that hole is not big enough for your body. And I said these words, I don't care. I don't care. I've got to get out of here. If my head fits through that hole, I am going to get out of here no matter what. I got down on the floor, positioned myself to go through this small hole. And as I positioned myself, my head would fit through the hole. I could see the outside of the vestibule. But my body was stuck. And as my body was stuck, I was pulling and pushing and pulling and pushing and using my hands and trying to get stuff out. And so I kept doing this for I don't know how long. It must have been 5 or 10 minutes trying to get my body through a hole that I did not care. Now just listen to me. So when I did that, it was my left side that I was struggling with. It was my left side. And because I couldn't get it out, I kept pulling and pulling. And I finally got my left side out, and I finally got my body out. And I went to the door to get my keys, and my hands were limp. And as my hands were limp, and when the paramedics came and I had unlocked the door and just barely unlocked the door, they said to me, "Was anyone else in here?" And I said, "No, it was me." They asked me, "Where were you at?" And I'm on the floor. And I said, "I was in there." "How did you get out?" I said, "That hole." And the fireman, not the paramedics, I'm sorry. The fireman asked me that question, and he said, "Excuse me, how did you get out?" And I said, "I came through that hole." And he said, "You brought your body through that hole?" And I said, "Yeah." And the other firemen, they were walking around examining the place. There's no other way to get out. "You came through that hole?" I said, "Yes." And I got tired of them asking me, did I come through the hole? And then I said, "Could you get me up off the floor?" And they said, "You came through that hole." And I'm saying, if they ask me that one more time, I said, "Yes, I came through that hole." And he said, "Are you in any pain?" "No." "Can you get me up off the floor?" "Are you sure you're not in any pain?" I said, "No." "Can you just get me up off the floor?" And he said, "No pain." I said, "The only thing that's bothering me is my back is burning. Get me up off the floor." And then he said, "Your back is burning?" And I said, "Yeah." And they couldn't get me up off the floor because my back was burning. And I had no idea that if your back is burning, something's going on in the spine or in the back. And it proceeded from there. They finally got me up and took me to the hospital. But when I went back, it was like, you need to go back in the office. And you need to look in your mind and see why you're in so much pain. It wasn't because of the automobile. It wasn't because of all the stuff that was flying in the air. It was because I made a wrong decision based on fear to come through a hole that wasn't big enough. I made that decision. I knew that that hole was not big enough. It wasn't the car. It wasn't the stuff flying. If I had just waited, they moved the car, they pulled the car out of the computer lab. But I made a decision based on fear. So every time I walk, I couldn't figure it out. What is wrong with my left side? And when the therapist came and she began to, before she worked on me, I said, "I need to tell you that I've been telling the story about the car accident wrong." And so when my doctor was examining me, it triggered something in my emotions. And I just began to shake. And so when I came home and I was just dealing with, why am I shaking? I went back to the hole. And I realized that, Dorcas, the car didn't do this to you. The things that was flying over your head didn't do this to you. It was a wrong decision based on fear. And I began to cry because I said, God, I'm sorry. I couldn't put it together. But now I have the answer to what's really going on in my body. Therapist is working with me and I'm doing so much better. And it's because I understand exactly what has happened to me. And I got a QB, and I told you guys I would come back and I will let you know about what I'm doing on that. And a QB is an exercise machine that my friend bought me. And I'm clearer in my mind. Because for 20 years, I've been asking God, there's something missing. And I couldn't put the pieces together. And it wasn't that I was going around telling something that I knew wasn't true. But the pain of what I did to my body, I didn't want to face. When we make decisions in our lives based on fear, a lot of times we will make the wrong decision. And what I did since then is been examining myself with my life and the things that I have made decisions based on fear. See, when you make decisions based on fear, you're afraid of rejection. You're afraid of not feeling loved. Low self-esteem. People can say you're this, that, and the other. People don't view us like we view ourselves. People don't see our broken parts because most of the time we don't share our broken parts. Most of the time what we're sharing and what people see is the strengths and the things that we know how to do. But they didn't see the times that I would be crying out to God and going to bed in so much pain. And I remember my former doctor, she sent me out to pain management. And I didn't want to take the medication because I didn't want to mask my pain. I wanted to find out what really happened. What really happened. And sometimes in relationships, we want to just squish stuff. And people hurt us. And we know we're still hurt and we need to be healed. We know things are going on in our world and things seem to be upside down and we still keep making decisions based on fear of what has happened in the past. But this is what I want to say. We have to get to the point, or consider getting to the point, because you don't have to do nothing. Consider getting to the point where that we can look inside of ourselves and tell ourselves the truth. We have to tell ourselves the truth. God, this is what Dorcas is. Dorcas has a lot of fear. You might not can see the fear, but the decisions that I've made down through my life, has been based on fear. I won't let them with my business. What's going to happen if I charge the right price? What's going to happen if I tell them the truth and how I really feel? They're not going to like me. And I remember sitting down on the curve in San Dimas when we first moved from North Carolina. And I was sitting down there asking God, God, could you give me a friend? I've been teased all my life because of my name. Then I start gaining weight and people talked about me. So all my life, I just been looking for somebody to love me unconditionally. And so I push people away when they hurt me. Pushing away means I'm afraid. I push people away when I don't know what they're going to do. That's the only thing that I know to do because fear has gripped my life. And I tell my story. Not because I want you to look at me, but I tell my story because the last video, not the last video before this one, I got emails with people telling me that what you're saying is ministering to me. It's speaking to me, Dorcas. And so many times we want people to think that we're somebody that we are really not. And I remember when I first came here, I was a moderator for a Christian chat room. And they would give us different names, and we would go sit in the chat rooms because before you could sign on, they let you know no pornography, no cursing, and they had these rules. But moderators would be sitting in these chat rooms, and if you seen somebody start talking about sex or want to give a number out, then you would say, "Hey, why are you doing that? You know what we're in." They didn't even know that we were working for the company. And one day, I said, these people are hiding behind fear. And in 2006, I made bumper stickers that said, "Don't hide behind fear." And I met a whole arena of different people. And people wanted my bumper stickers. And I gave them to them. I sent them to their homes. Don't hide behind fear. Who God has made us, He has equipped us to be who we should be. People do not, or should not rather, shape our destiny, but most of the times, words that have been spoken over us in anger shapes our life. And that's based, sometimes we base our decisions based on triggers in our world, things that have happened to us down through the years. Well, what can we do, Dorcas? We have to look in. We have to find out. We have to search our own soul. We have to search our own mind. We have to search our own heart and find out what's in there. And just like God used my doctor to tell me that when you go to the left, your whole body shakes. Not just your left side. He said your whole body shakes. And right now, my hands are shaking. And I was wondering, even after this therapy, Lord, have I damaged my nerves? Only God knows. But what I came back to tell you, we have to face our fear. And my sister, before she died, when she called me from St. Joseph Hospital, she said, "Dorcas, face it." When she was telling me that she was dying, she wouldn't be going back home. She was going on hospice. She said, "You got to face it," because she knew that I run from or pull back when things are difficult. And it was difficult for me having to face another death. It was difficult for me having to let go. And that's why I want to tell you, sometimes the things that we're challenged to do in our lives are difficult. It might not feel good, But I promise you, the cleansing will free us. Not you, us. Don't hide behind fear. Don't hide behind a wrong decision that's based on fear. Don't hide when we make wrong choices and they didn't come out the way that we expected them to. Don't hide when you're broken and you know you're broken. Don't hide when you're pushing people and you know why you're pushing people. Don't hide from friends that you know that love you and wouldn't do nothing to hurt you. God will always put people in our path that will solidify us and not tear us down. If somebody is tearing us down, then we need to make conscious decisions to say, is this relationship healthy? And once you make that decision, once I make that decision, I have to stand by it. I cannot let fear dictate to me any longer. A wrong decision based on fear. And when I was telling Marty this, and Marty is my secretary, and she came up there and she saw me on the stretchers and all that, and she said, but yeah, Dorcas, the car did come through. The car was a part of it. The car was a part of it. And there was great fear. I was scared. Yes, I was. I was traumatized. Yes, I was. But I stood there and looked at the hole and said, I don't care. Those words are very poison. When we're making decisions based on fear, based on relationship, based on when we get tired, based on when we get angry, based on why is this happening to me, based on I don't care if you leave, based on I don't care what you do, based on I don't care what you say. Those words spoken in anger are not good, because every decision, whether it's wrong or right, that we make can change our life and our destiny. Not only our destiny can change things in motion that God has for us. It can change things for a lifetime. I come back to tell this because I believe that there's a lot of things going on in our world right now. And we're making decisions, some conscious and some not conscious. And some will just say, I don't care. What I'm saying and what I believe that God wants me to come back and say, be careful when you make a choice. Make sure that you seek God first. Make sure you wait. Just wait. Take time to wait. There was nothing moving in that school. But I wanted to get out, and that was the end of the story. So I promised God, if he helped me, and he's helping me, I'm doing so much better. And some things I will tell you later, but I just don't want to share them now. But every wrong decision has a consequence. Be careful what you choose. Be careful what you say to anger when you say, I don't care. This has been Dorcas Chandler at DorcasGazelle.com. And if anybody have not told you today that they love you, I love you. And I hope you've gotten something out of what I've said? And if you have, why don't you email me at dchandler10@cox.net like some of you have been doing, and just let me know that it blessed you today. All right, God bless you. God keep you is my prayer. Until next time, Dorcas Chandler.